F sharp, A sharp, revisited.
Hello everyone and welcome to F Sharp A Sharp Revisited. Me and Nick are back and we are ready to put some artists in the gulag.
Yeah, we were far too nice last week.
I know.
Far too nice.
I know.
I mean, all these artists that deserve praise is all well and good, but we can't let the vandals, the disgrace of music get away.
The rascals, we're gonna pin them down. And we're gonna pin them down and some of them they're gonna get thrown in the gulag.
I'm betting on it. I'm sure that so many people could get thrown in the gulag.
Oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Well, I think we've got several kind of categories that we're gonna work through. The first one we've got is the worst songs of 2018. And my goodness, there were some terrible songs.
Yeah. We decided that there was one which was actually worse than the others that we'd both put on our list. So we have got a winner here, but otherwise we are going to run through it.
Yeah, we're going to run through our runners-up and give them the derision that they deserve.
Because, I mean, they all deserve to be, like, they deserve this.
Yeah.
They all have to be told what naughty boys they've been.
Yeah, and I suppose first up, we should talk about a kind of pop-punk band that decided that they would do what all of them do. They'll go electronic, experimental, and completely fuck things up. We got Fall Out Boy.
Order resistance.
Oh my goodness. It's the kind of thing that I would love to find funny, but it's so bad. It is so bad that I cannot find it funny. We're talking about Fall Out Boy's song Stay Frosty Royal Milk Tea.
Which just is one of the worst song names I can think of.
It's awful. I mean, the thing is, they kind of go back to their punk, their punk rock roots in this kind of dum 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 guitar riff, which is completely boring. It's so rubbish. And then the chorus, like you said, the pre-chorus, they've got, are you smelling that shit? Are you smelling that shit? Oh, de résistance. And I just dropped to the floor when I heard that. I dropped to the floor and I was just like, no, I'm not getting back up again. I'm not getting back up again. That is bloody terrible. So yeah, definitely one of my picks for worst songs of the year.
Well, they're lucky because their song Church from that album is my number 6 spot. So I'm not going to talk about it. It just slightly got edged out.
Yeah, I kind of like Church, so.
Slightly got edged out by another track which was so overblown that it hurt my ears.
Yeah.
Muse. On an album which surprised me. I still didn't think it was good, but surprised me with how much I liked some of the tracks on it. But they also released Get Up and Fight, which may be one of the, if not the worst song they've ever made.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with this melodic vocal passage, which in the right hands could have been good, maybe, but it becomes more tired as it's continually used in the blandest ways possible. Matt's vocals have never sounded so bad as on the chorus in this track.
Oh, they're so strained. Oh, yeah. I remember when we first reviewed this album, I got so angry talking about this song.
And I mean, just generally, the verses are underwhelming and they're clearly just filler between the huge arena rock circle jerk of the chorus.
Which is also filler.
Yeah.
Gotta get up and fight. I mean, how cliched do you want to be? How cliched. Oh my goodness, I'm so disappointed.
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like to
That's
me.
why I'd rather listen to that on repeat for 3 minutes than listen to this song again. Okay. I think we'll move our rap onto this song by Atreyu, which
I can't believe I listened to this because I saw it on your list and I didn't know this genre existed anymore.
So yeah, we've got Blind, Deaf and Dumb, and I'll be honest, I mean, Atreyu is kind of like this new metal band that sometimes, like, they're kind of one of these generic ones where, like, they might have a good track every now and then, but they're not, I don't really think they're that much worth paying attention to. But on their new album, they had this song, Blind, Deaf and Dumb, which it sent me reeling with just how bad it was. They have this hook where they just shout, blind, deaf and dumb, blind, deaf and dumb, and then they have rapping over the new metal, and it's the most terrible rapping I've ever heard. The lyrics are so bad.
I didn't know rap metal existed, and I thought it was one of the genres that had just been consigned to the pit of history, where all bad genres of music go to die,
Yeah, and
but
it's
apparently not.
and the lyrics are bad as well. They're very much, oh, isn't it how bad 2018 is? And yeah, it might be bad, but also that's no excuse for terrible lyrics. Like, my goodness, sort yourselves out. Oh, my goodness, I had to put this on my worst of lists when I heard it. I thought it was terrible.
So I'm going to move on to my next runner-up, and I mean, honest to God, I'm surprised this is only a runner-up, but there were some absolute stinkers this year. Joe, do you remember when you showed me Quality Control, Quavo, and Nicki Minaj, Is She for Keeps?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't see how there can be anything worse than this year. Because that was back in, I think it was January or February.
Yeah, it was very early on in the year.
And I'd forgotten about this track. I'd finally managed to forget about it. And of course, I had to go back and look through the things I'd listened to. And the beat on this track makes me feel ill with the nauseous, lowly mixed synths and the uninspired drums. Quavo's verse is trash.
Oh, it's horrible.
Just like everything Quavo does. Heard it slippery, splash. Heard it sweat like seaweed, splash. Ass fat in her jeans, ass.
It's so bad.
The chorus makes me want to throw up
Is she for keeps?
with how repetitive and atrocious the melody is.
And
then
of course, there's also a tune over it.
Nicki Minaj just sounds like she's phoning it in.
She's phoning it in, but then she's also bragging at the same time. She is the girl that is for keeps, and I just think, no, I wouldn't want to keep that.
No, not in the slightest. That is to be thrown out in the recycling.
Oh, recycling is generous.
Straight
into
It's not for keeps. It's that old book you find in your attic, which you're never going to read anymore. So you give it to a charity shop, and they just put it to the landfill because they can't sell it.
Yeah, it's it's a terrible song. I think moving on, we've got a song. Oh, it's Rescue Me by 30 Seconds to Mars. When we reviewed that song, I said this song made me feel physically ill. I was not exaggerating. It does. Like, how can you follow up lyrics that banal over a beat so uninteresting, over the synth so bland, with the ugliest drop I have ever heard? Like, it's so fucking ugly. It's this chopped up vocal that's maxed out but then made quieter, and it's so ugly. Oh my goodness, I just felt it in my stomach. I felt the stomach acid rising and coming up. I managed to stop myself. I stopped myself. I got myself some ginger tea and it was fine. But my goodness, that song, oh, it did something to me. Very unpleasant, and I still haven't forgotten about it. So yeah, you can.
We've already put Jared Leto in the gulag. We can't do that again.
Oh, I'm sure we'll find a way.
Put him in the super gulag. Oh wait, I'm not meant to mention that. Well, I'm going to move on to my third pick. Third worst track of 2018. Oh my god, I can't believe it's only third. XXX Tentacion with Smash.
Mm-hmm.
I actually do find this track painful to listen to. I think I've managed to listen through it in its entirety twice, and every other time I've put it on going, it can't be as bad as I remember, and then it is. It's got one of the worst beats I think I've ever heard in my life. One of the worst uses of auto-tune I've ever heard in my life that sounds like a robot having a stroke. And the lyrics are hideous. Mm-hmm. Absolutely hideous. Let me smash. You remember that meme of Robert the Bird? You know, and it's got the computer-generated voice going, let me smash. I mean, that's what it's trying to do, I think. Words fail me. It's like I'd rather shit in my own hands and clap than listen to this.
Oh, what a metaphor. Oh, yeah, I have to agree, it's terrible. But for me, I've put another XXX Tentacion track on here. And so, yeah, he's getting double. Like, he may have died this year, like, rest in peace and all that, but you can't make music this terrible and get away with it. So, $$ with Mattox, for me...
I will say that song does have the worst lyric on it.
So, okay, well, it opens with Matt Ox doing some kind of auto-tune singing, and bar maybe Jaden Smith is quite possibly the worst use of auto-tune. in music ever. It's so horrible, and he just sings ooh ooh. The mumble rappers doomed. Like, oh my goodness, it's terrible. And then you get XXX Tentacion coming in with the greatest lyric of all time. Like, wait, wait, skate eight, spin on my dick like a Beyblade,
That killed me. I'm actually dead.
Oh my goodness. Like, when I heard that, I just thought, I just had to replay it. Did I hear that right? Did I? My goodness, how can you make music this tasteless? Like, words fail me at this point. I think we should move on.
Yeah. So my second place track, which got the very rare 3 negative marks in my notes. In fact, it's the first thing to ever get that. Jaden Smith's Play This on a Mountain at Sunset. It's trash, it's trash, and it's trash. Bad production, bad performance, bad composition, bad lyrics. Everything is bad in this song.
Yep.
It's the most repetitive song I've heard all year, the most boring song I've heard all year. Also hard to listen to, so very uninspired. Like, Jesus. This track genuinely makes my blood boil.
It's so awful.
This track makes me want to stamp on kittens. I'm having bad thoughts, Joe. Make it stop.
Okay, you're spitting nothing but facts right now.
I hate
Nick.
him with his stupid fucking clothes, and his stupid fucking hair.
I will give it 1 point for at least attempting to try something different, like ambient Migos, but like, who wants to hear that? So
Ambient Migos. I've never heard a fouler thought.
So there's that, but basically I agree with you 100%. But there is one song that we agreed was so trash. It is so trash.
And the worst thing is, I think this is actually the most popular song of all of the ones on our lists.
And that just makes it even worse. That makes it an even more deserved winner, in my opinion.
Because how do people think this is good? There's someone at my work who sings this, like, non-ironically. And I don't understand it, because Walk It, Talk It by Migos, feat Drake, is all it's all of the things I've said about the hip hop tracks previously that I hate, and they apply here.
Yeah, I mean, there has been no deficiency of uninventive, boring as fuck trap music this year. But this track, the same drum beat all the way through, those kind of almost non-existent synths, that fucking hook that is basically 2/3 of the entire song. Walk it like talk it like what talk it like walk it like.
There's no flow in the song. There is no flow. I've never heard a song that has no flow in the way that this song has no flow. It all sounds the same. I had to hug my cat to remind myself there is still good in the world.
Oh my goodness! There's this song, and Drake isn't good in it. The Migos.
Surprise! Big surprise, Joe.
Migos is not good in it. The whole thing, and it wouldn't be like. Why is it 5 minutes long? Why is it that long? It shouldn't be that long. I mean, we haven't mentioned it, but the music video for it is equally as boring. And
I haven't watched it. I didn't know there was one.
There is one. Don't bother.
Oh, don't tell me there is one, Joe.
Okay, you might be tempted to watch. The music video is as boring as the actual song itself. Like, for me, the worst thing music can be is just boring, and this is absolute full-on boring. You switch off within 2 seconds. Oh my goodness, torture music.
Well, before we move on to worst albums of 2018, because I think we need to save some of our sanity, let's talk about something a little bit lighter, and let's talk about the worst album artwork of 2018. Because while this is terrible, at least some of it made me laugh by how bad it was.
Yeah,
and we've agreed on a ranking for this one. So, in 5th place, Joe.
In 5th place, we have... And I almost felt bad for putting this forward, because it's literally just a picture of the dude himself. It's Total Xanarchy by Lil Xan.
I mean, he is a stupid-looking man.
Why? I don't... He looks like the ultimate I'm going to rebel against society mom,
Yeah.
basically. And it's so cringeworthy.
Look at me, Mum. I smoked a marijuana.
Oh, you just wonder. I do despair about the children of today.
He is a stupid, ugly-looking man, and to do such a weird pose without his shirt on for the
Yeah,
album cover.
I feel bad calling him ugly, but he kind of is, and I kind of want him to take that as a criticism that he can grow on.
Yeah.
I
Just, I have no words. I want him to
Put a shirt on
put a
next
shirt
time.
on next time, at least. And preferably, if you want a bit more guidance on how to make a good album cover, stop making music would be a good step.
Yeah, please.
Next up, 30 Seconds to Mars, America. Now this one, we couldn't decide whether to put this or Little Xan in 5th place, and we decided Little Xan because it's not really his fault he looks stupid, whereas it is 30 Seconds to Mars' fault that they released, what was it, 9 different versions of this album cover, and all of them are terrible.
Yeah, I mean, there's 6 words on a blank background that are vaguely topical.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like it's a bit like if you took Love It If We Made It by 1975, turned it into an album cover, and removed all of the personality from it, like literally all
Yeah.
of it. It's just words which are completely meaningless in the context of the album, because the album's themes are so just devoid of substance anyway that this just comes across as look, popular things.
Look, we're relevant.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
Jared Leto strikes again.
Oh my goodness.
So you may remember last podcast I actually talked about one of Joe's favourite album covers and how the juxtaposition on it was done beautifully. So on Justin Timberlake's Man of the Woods album cover, that juxtaposition is not done well at all. There's this supposed, oh look, I'm this city slicker guy, but I'm also a man of the woods. Doesn't come through on the album at all. It's laughable how misguided his attempts to come across as in this way.
Yeah, the album cover of Justin Timberlake's Man of the Woods is kind of, you know what it reminds me of? It's like the 2 kids like that have the big coat around them to pretend to be an adult. It kind of reminds me of that as well, and it's just as a mission statement for the album, it fails as a whole concept.
Yeah,
So
completely and utterly fails. Though it did lead to some funny moments
yeah.
and a couple of tracks that weren't terrible. Joe, please talk about the next one because I don't want to acknowledge its existence.
Okay, I mean, neither do I, but I'm good at tearing things anew. I really shouldn't say that considering this album cover.
Oh God! No, God, Joe, no.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Right, so
Okay.
if you've seen the cover of Kyoto by Tiger, I'm so sorry.
Okay, this is by far the most tasteless on the album. So basically, you've got this presumably Japanese-looking woman with who's naked with tiger print all over herself. She's lying on the floor with basically her ass in the air, presumably waiting to be.
And she has a tail.
Oh yeah, she has a tail because tiger, something like that. It is so tasteless. Like, who's going to go into the record store or whatever, pick that up and think,
Yeah, if you take that to the counter at a record store, you're going to get such dirty looks from the bit. Like, I would refuse to sell that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So would I. And I mean, it is fairly representative of the album. I'll give it that much. But oh my goodness, I've never been more disgusted right from the get-go from an album cover. It's so tasteless, and it's kind of fetishizing as well in a way that's very gross. Very gross. I don't like it at all. So that very much gets our number 2 pick.
Yeah, no, I can't believe that was number 2, but the number 1 pick we put there simply because it's so laughably bad. It is hilariously bad, and it's not even like Tiger was clearly trying to be so kind of controversial with that album cover, whereas Quavo on Quavo Hunt Show. It's just made one of the most appallingly bad but hilarious album covers, and he
Yeah.
clearly didn't mean it to be. And
Okay.
I can't even describe why it's so bad, except if you look at it, you
You
will
you will
understand.
understand because it's kind of like this natural landscape that's a lake in the background, and then like it's the trees morph into the face of Quavo, and it actually looks a little bit like Anthony Fantano, but but it just looks so bad, and there are bats, I think, and it just looks so
I
ugly.
don't. It's not just the fact that, I mean, by itself, this is a bit stupid as an album cover, but it's also the fact that it makes him look so ugly, so
Yeah,
stupid. It does not make him look good. It's such a misfire.
you really question their decision making ability. Oh my goodness, that is I had to put that as number one because I just don't understand how you could look at that and think, yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
want to look like an absolute fuck muppet.
I don't know. Maybe that's the wave these days. I don't know. Maybe maybe we're out of touch, Nick. But I advise every single person don't Google Kyoto bow tie. Avoid that image. But Google Quavo Huncho album cover. Have a laugh.
Yeah,
Have a laugh.
it's something else.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's move on. I think we've had our laughs, so let's have some not laughs and then go into some more laughs to finish off.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about the worst albums of 2018 now. Joe, would you like to start?
Yes. Okay. So one of my runners up was "Beloved Antichrist" by Therion. So Therion are a generic metal band. Generic metal band being pretty much a subgenre at this point. You know, you'll get your very standard riffs, standard choruses, standard everything, completely boring. And what made me put this as a runner-up was because despite how boring it is, when I listen to these kind of albums, if they're like a normal 40 minutes or whatever, I can give it a 3 or a 4 out of 10, move on with my life. Nick, this album is 3 fucking hours long. It is 46 tracks. I can't even remember if I finished it or not. I remember when I listened to it distinctly getting 2 hours in. At that point, I was so drained and like, can something interesting happen? That I don't know, my brain just switched off and I can't even remember if I listened to the rest of the album. I actually don't know. And I didn't bother re-listening to it because why the fuck am I going to waste 3 hours of my life trying to remember how bad something is? And it doesn't make any sense to me. How can you write that much material? Because, you know, writing music obviously takes a lot longer than listening to it. How can you spend that much fucking time creating music and thinking it's acceptable to put an album that is this long out for people to waste their time on?
Joe, what
So
I
help
find
me.
the best is you saying there it obviously takes much longer to write albums than it does to listen to them. But for my first runner-up, I'm not sure that's the case. Because Question
Yeah.
Mark by XXXTentacion is just all of the songs are unfinished. There isn't a single track on there that has a satisfying, beginning, middle, close. They all feel like demos. Some show a little bit of promise, like Moonlight, but every other track is just trash. The lyrics suck. There's this horrible sense of smugness throughout that makes me absolutely seethe. Like with song titles like "I Don't Even Speak Spanish," lol, which is just clearly a cash-in attempt from how well Despacito did. It's obnoxious throughout. His attempts to look into his psyche are just laughably bad. It's offensive. This album. It really is an offense to all senses,
Agreed.
especially smell.
Yeah, absolutely terrible album. I mean, I have to agree. I mean, we both nominated a song from that album as the worst songs of the year. Bloody terrible. Um, Kind of going on my theme of albums that are too long. I've also put Culture 2 by Migos, and of course they got our worst track of the year with Walk It Talk It. The entire album is basically that song over and over again. They're probably not all as bad as Walk It Talk It, but imagine listening to that for 1 hour 45 minutes. It's like, why? It's such a shameless cash-in and a shameless way to take advantage of the way Spotify playlists work and how online streaming works to make themselves popular and popping and all that. And the music is so trash. It's so manufactured and minimal effort all the way throughout. Like, absolutely shameless. It's exactly what I don't like in music. I'm done.
Curse you, Quavo.
Curse you, Quavo!
So for my next runner-up, I've got Ollie Murs with You Know I Know. And I mean, credit where it's due. Of all of Ollie Murs' releases, this is the longest.
Yes.
And
This is a true statement.
This is a true statement. Every song on it sounds the same. There are so many songs on it, and every single one of them sounds the same, Joe.
Mhm.
The only one I can remember as being slightly different is the one that has Snoop Dogg on, and that's because Snoop Dogg is there.
Yeah, and he says his name and Ollie Murs like within the first 2 seconds of
and
the
it's
entire
like,
album.
Snoop Dogg is on this track. Thank you for warning me.
We can move on.
But no, it's so long. It's so long, and there's so little to enjoy about it.
Oh dear me.
I
Dear
can't
me.
even talk about anything specific about it except that it's bland and long
And very
and
unspecific.
very bland.
Yeah. Oh dear. And then, okay, I'll go to my next runner-up. We've got so many bad albums, which is Enchanted Propaganda by Jvki Y. And I'm assuming it's a V that's supposed to be a U, but also I'm not going to entertain that this time because I don't feel like it, because I had to listen to this album.
I mean, I get it with bands like Churches, because if you just type in Churches online, you're going to find pictures of churches, aren't you?
Yeah.
Whereas if you type in Jvki Y, what are you going to come up with except for the artist?
Yeah. Well, this album kind of took me by surprise because it's a K-pop artist, and I suppose I have my preconceived idea of what K-pop is. Very, very flashy, very showy, very well produced. But then this is cloud rap, and it's also probably some of the most obnoxious cloud rap I've ever heard. The synths are constantly glaring and bright. It's like the bright K-pop autotune doesn't work when the actual synth tones are horrible. And then you've got Jvki's. You've got Jvki's horribly auto-tuned vocals that are just absolutely non-stop, and I just couldn't stomach listening to this. I just thought it was so horrible. Like, no. 1 out of 10.
Oh man, I didn't have any 1 out of 10s this year. Everything got, some of them got very close, but I don't think I had a single 1 out of 10 this year.
That's one of yeah.
So let's talk about another one of my 2 out of 10s. Panic at the Disco with Pray for the Wicked, which is honestly an album that I don't remember. I don't remember any of the tracks from it, but judging from my notes I made about it, I hated this album. I really hated this album. I was so glad I'd forgotten what it sounds like.
Yeah, see, I forgot what it sounded like, but then I saw you nominated it, and then I listened to some tracks again, but I can't remember what they sound like.
Poor fool.
Well, I can't remember
Joe,
it.
why did you do that? I didn't.
Well, the thing is, though, I'm kind of grateful because I can remember what Jvki Y sounds like, I can remember what Migo sounds like, I can remember what... No, I don't remember what Therion sounded like. It was so generic. So I'm kind of glad that I've forgotten about it, but I will gladly accept it as one of the worst albums of the year.
All I've written is that it's like that Fall Out Boy album I hated, but worse. And I can vaguely remember some of the tracks from that Fall Out Boy album, and I did hate it.
What I will give to Fall Out Boy, their album Mania this year might have been pretty bad in a lot of places, but at least they tried to be garish, and I say garish as if it's positive. Like, they at least tried to do something and stand out and at least make some kind of statement with their music, as bad as it might have been at times, whereas Panic at the Disco, not even trying.
Well, we've got two winners.
Yes, we have.
Going from our lists of the 5 worst of the year, we found we had 2 that were actually coinciding, so we decided, you know what, we'll just put them both at number 1. So let's do them in alphabetical order. Okay. First of all, Jaden Smith with the Sunset Tapes, A Cool Tape Story.
Oh, we reviewed that not 2 episodes ago, or
very recently.
Oh,
oh god, this album was such a letdown because he showed on on Sire, Jaden did show some promise. There was potential there. And instead of taking the good bits and refining them and, making his album shorter, I suppose he did make his album shorter, but that's the only good thing about it. He doubled down on every single other bad thing about Sire.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about autotune a bit. This is quite possibly the most egregious use of autotune I've heard this year. It is incessant. It is constant. It's like, it's just not good. It's not good. Like, why do people keep using this as a choice? And I say that, there are a couple of instances of autotune I have actually liked, but, well, this certainly isn't one of them.
And I don't understand the lyrics. I don't understand how Jaden Smith can be so sure of himself as being a gift to hip hop when the raps and the bars he produces are just all terrible.
Yeah, and he has a fetish for pregnant dragons.
Rap is a fetish like a dragon that is pregnant. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around. I mean, if you're a furry, that's fair enough. But what does it mean on this album?
It boggles the mind that an album like this exists.
And I know it's shorter, but it still felt like I was listening to it for an eternity.
Well, the thing is, it was so bad that because it's only like 30 or 35 minutes or something like that, when it got to the last two tracks, I was kind of getting used to how bad the compositions were. But then I just felt like an empty husk. I just wanted it to be done.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get the 1 out of 10 because there's one track on it, which actually, I've forgotten what that track is. But I remember there being one track that I thought, this is tolerable.
Yeah, same. I gave it pretty much the lightest two possible.
Yeah.
I think that's what I said, because there were a couple of moments where I will give credit for some experimentation, some attempts, and some moments, some glimmers of hope. But other than that, like it was absolutely awful. Absolutely awful.
Oh, Joe, I know you have a lot to say about the next album, so I will let you take it away.
Okay. Okay, so our other joint winner is America by 30 Seconds to Mars, which, let's be honest, that album was some complete bullshit.
30 seconds to a headache.
Oh my goodness, 30 seconds, that's generous. I'd give it like 2. But anyway, so I'll admit I wasn't the biggest fan of 30 Seconds to Mars to begin with, but it still pained me deeply. It pained me so deeply to hear someone who actually does have some talent, like Jared Leto, make an album that's just so devoid of any redeeming qualities whatsoever. It's such a sellout album. Every single thing about this album, from the artwork, the title of it, to the vague allusions to relevant topics, just screamed like, we're relevant, we're cool, we're popping, we're good, with absolutely zero substance. There is zero. There is, I mean, if we can go negative numbers, I would. There is such a lack of substance that from the very beginning to the very end, I am very much an empty shell of a human being. Combine that with some just awful instrumentation at points. I've already mentioned Rescue Me. That's the only song I'm going to bother mentioning here, because I don't want to it's like giving it too much credit by just even mentioning other songs. But the ugliness of some of the synth choices, the just standard structures, that kind of verse, pre-chorus, chorus, that just is the same every single bloody time, and how soulless the whole thing is, made me so freaking angry. I'm still angry about it. This album just, I don't understand how an artist, someone who produces art that adds meaning and value to life, can think that this bullshit is acceptable. It is not acceptable. It is absolutely not acceptable.
I would like to quote BoJack Horseman here. Why do they put honeydew in everything? Honeydew is the worst part of everything it's in. It's the Jared Leto of fruit. Because, I mean, as bad as everything is, I do think Jared Leto is the main offender on this album.
Yeah.
I hate hearing him here. And I do like a few 30 Seconds to Mars tracks that they originally did. I don't think he's a bad vocalist, except he completely is on this album.
Mm-hmm.
it's a combination of his cockiness and the mixing of his vocals is horrible. Like
Yeah.
Walk on Water, I just remember just being skull splitting every time he yells that chorus.
I think I think I've exhausted myself on that one, Nick.
I think we
Oh.
need to move on quickly. I will just say, please don't listen to any of the albums we have just mentioned. Please.
Yeah, I would advise them for torture though, but other than that,
Well, we'll finish this off. We're going to talk about something lighter. Let's talk about the funniest moments of the years, or
Yes.
as Joe describes them, the best.
lolcows.
Yes.
So yeah, we got some picks each. So yeah, we'll
Yeah, we'll go one then one.
yeah. So first up, I've got Justin Timberlake. I've put Man of the Woods, which is the name of the album, so you could consider this about the whole album, but the song itself is one of the bizarrest experiences I've ever had. You've got this city, like we've said, this city slicker, urban R&B like type artist who's, he's cool, he's sexy, he's this, that, and the other, and then you've got this really weird like clopping beat that's kind of country-ish but not really, and then you've got this Justin Timberlake saying, I'm the man of the woods until I die. Like, I what is there other to do, what else is there to do other than laugh? I don't.
Well, this fits quite well because my first
Yeah.
pick is also Justin Timberlake, but I chose the track Supplies because I just love the idea of Justin Timberlake going into a club and being like, hey girl, I got Doomsday Shelter. The end of the world's coming. Do you want to come with me? I'm a sexy Doomsday prepper. I've got
Oh
supplies.
dear.
Oh god,
The
it's
hook
so,
of that song is so bad as well.
Supplies.
Oh, not nasal enough, Nick. Supply.
But it's horrible. It's
Oh
it's
my
so.
goodness.
It's hilarious, but it's horrible, and definitely one of the low points on the album.
Yeah.
I mean, it did have it did have some decent songs on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it had those funny moments as well.
You move
So,
on.
yeah, my next pick is so Janelle Monáe's Dirty Computer had some pretty good tracks on it, some great tracks. I mean, we even gave her best pop song for Make Me Feel. But then she had a couple of tracks that I didn't think were quite as good. And then one of those tracks had a music video that it just made me burst out laughing. I'm talking about the music video to Pink. Specifically at about 42 seconds in, because you've got this build-up of shots of Janelle Monáe and, other girls, and it's over this like pink canyon landscape, and then it cuts to a shot of Janelle Monáe and her crew wearing vagina trousers. And then, but that's not the funniest thing, because then they start moving from side to side like I can't take that seriously.
Like a Newton's cradle.
I can't. It was so funny because my good friend Stacey of Stacey's Pop Culture Parlor, because we're work buddies, she basically said, "Oh, Joe, have you seen the music video to Pink yet?" And I said no, and so on my lunch break at work, I put it on, and when I saw that, I burst out laughing, had to stop myself, immediately clicked X on the video because I thought I'd committed some kind of violation at work because she's wearing vagina trousers. Oh, that was a very funny moment for me.
Okay, so my next pick is actually from one of Joe's favourite songs of the year.
Yes.
The Man Who Married a Computer by the 1975. And there were a load of great lines in that, but specifically my favourite line that always makes me laugh is towards the end of the speech where he said, "Man cannot live by bread alone," and then he died.
Oh, it is funny.
I mean, and then it goes into that really lovely swell of strings afterwards, the love theme.
Yeah, it's such a complicated mix of emotions, which is kind of why I love it so much. But it is very funny.
It's such a funny contrast.
Yeah. Oh, so my next pick for funny moment was one that we reviewed Kanye West's solo album this year, Yay. And I was kind of unsure what you would think about me feeling this way about this track, because you've got the opening track. I Thought About Killing You Today, where Kanye West very seriously, very, very seriously talks about how he thought about killing someone. I thought it was the funniest shit I had ever heard in all my life. My goodness, it's so melodramatic, and it's just made so funny from how serious and how seriously he expects you to take it. And that's just what's so funny for me. I'm just like, yeah, this is this is just so funny. And I just kind of thought, am I a bad person for finding this funny? And then I thought, no.
Not in the slightest. Classic Kanye. Well, my number 3 pick is from Idol's new album, Joy is an Act of Resistance. There's a track on it called Love Song, which is quite dark and brooding. And one of the lines on it, I mean, it's got a lot of great lines on the album, but the one that made me laugh the most is on this, where he goes, "You give me power like a gun or a knife. Be my wife." That made me laugh so much.
So random.
Oh, it's just so, it's delivered with such intensity. It just reminds me again of the Justin Timberlake. You imagine going into a club and talking to someone that way.
Yeah. Who would? My number 2 pick. The Black Eyed Peas released an album this year. It went completely under the radar, as it should. But then I decided to give it a listen to see if it'd be as bad as some of their previous material. It wasn't, but that was the end of this one track. Have you listened to it, Nick?
No, because you made me cover Black Eyed Peas earlier this year, and that was my fill of listening to them for the next decade.
Okay, so there's this song on the album called Yes or No. The song finishes, and then you've got the last 10 seconds, which leads into the next song. And what will.i.am says in this last 10 seconds sums up the entire Black Eyed Peas' career for me.
Oh, yeah?
He says, 1 + 2 is 3. 2 + 1 is 3. 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. Classic Black Eyed Peas. Listen to it for yourself. The track is called Yes or No, the last 10 seconds. That is actually on the record. And I listened to that and I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. I had to listen to that again just to make sure I actually heard what I was hearing. So yeah, that definitely made me laugh.
Okay, well, my number 2 pick is one that we talked about in the Bad Music Olympics.
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot. In fact, I think we mentioned it more than any other moment. And it's the very first thing you hear in Smashing Pumpkins' new album. It's from the track Knights of Malta, where it's one chord and then wah 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 wah. And the fact that Billy Corgan thought that doing a Waluigi impression at the beginning of his great comeback album was a good idea. Holy crap.
My goodness. I mean, it gave us a good laugh.
It's so misguided, and it's so terrible, and it's so funny.
Oh, yeah. I have nothing more to add to that other than wow 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 wow. Anyway, moving on. My last pick for funny moments was actually your favourite pick from Muse's album.
I think it's a great song,
But
it's a funny song. But I think it's a great song.
It's definitely a good song, but it's very funny. Propaganda. Literally everything about this song made me laugh, from the initial propaganda, that really distorted, gritty vocoder vocals with that didgeridoo sounding bass is funny. And then you've got Matt. Like, Matt does kind of sound a little bit sexy on the song, but it's still kind of funny imagining Matt Bellamy to be sexy. Yeah. And then you've got the lyrics as well about, my mind's an ocean, you're an oil slick, and then you've got the the country twang guitar that comes in for the bridge. I love that bit.
It makes me laugh with the trap hi-hats and the slide guitar, but it sounds great and also amazingly funny.
Oh, agreed. And I mean, the song is good itself. It lays up really well. The smooth funk is nice, but it was definitely a funny song for me. Definitely a funny moment for the year.
I'm going to pick my favourite comedy moment of the year, and it's actually from a comedy album. I'm cheating a little bit here. the moment from the year which has consistently made me laugh the most is the bit on the song "Romancing the Mermaid" by Ninja Sex Party. Oh, I couldn't do it justice by performing the lyrics, but it's the bit where he's trying to think of the best way to romance this mermaid. So he wraps himself up in pizza and throws himself at her, and
Just
more
that image.
pizza, Brian, and Funyuns and ham too. Now coat me in pizza and throw me, goddamn you!
Oh, it's very funny.
Oh god, it makes me laugh so much. Oh, I've listened to that album a lot this year, and it's always made me so happy.
Yeah.
So thank
Ah.
you. That does quite nicely lead us into the next section.
Yeah.
The final section, we're going to talk about our favourite comedy songs of the year.
Yeah.
I would say comedy albums, but we've only really talked about two.
Yeah. So we might as well pick the songs from that. At least I felt kind of meant something. It meant something to me.
Yeah.
Chuffed by Auntie Donna meant something to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just love it. I love that. I love it. I love it so much.
Dad culture.
I mean, I love dad culture. I although I never plan on being a dad, I'd love to. I just love dad rock. I love, and it's just like this list of items that makes dad pleased, and they
Discount Snickers get me chuffed. Watching 9 News gets me chuffed.
Yeah, and I even made a Facebook post earlier this year because I moved into my new flat this year, and I commissioned.
That's a very
Yes.
grown up, almost
yes.
dad-like thing to do.
And I designed a coffee table. I designed a coffee table, got it commissioned by an old church friend, and yeah, and it's basically a coffee table which has a perspex glass top and a removable box underneath, so you can put all kinds of miniature worlds or designs under it. I started with something simple. I put sand in there, put some shells. I created a miniature beach within my coffee table, and I put on Facebook, I put a beach in my coffee table, and it makes me chuffed.
I got the reference.
So
I think James got the reference as well, but no one else did.
yeah, I mean, it got some likes anyway.
I got a synonym book, and it makes me pleased.
So yeah, I very much enjoyed that song.
Yeah, it's definitely the high point on the album, I think.
Yeah.
Moving on, the next pick is one from an artist that I'm not sure whether I would describe them as a comedy artist, though they are very zany, very whimsical, very
Yeah.
weird. But this track is definitely a comedy track if ever I heard
Okay,
one.
well-
And by far the most tragic of comedy tracks ever.
Okay, because you told I wasn't familiar of this track until like a few days ago, and I listened to it, and it kind of traumatized me.
It is a very tragic song, but it's tragicomedy at its best, I think, because it's so
Yeah.
bizarre. The song is The Ballad of Hamantha by Jack Stauber's Micropop. And it's about a woman who's born with a ham instead of a head and how she wants to be a big star. And the doctor goes, "Oh, I found a cure," but she gets shot on the way and the doctor eats her head.
Oh my goodness.
And I wanted to cover this song for the last podcast, but I couldn't think of a way of doing it justice. So I've spent the entire year since I heard it. Whenever I'm in the room with my sister and it goes quiet, I will start playing it just to annoy her. And it brings me no end of happiness to watch her squirm. At the time of death, the doc said, "Time to eat," so he took a bite out of her face meat. And the video that goes with it as well, because it started as just that a small extract from the song with this really trippy video on like to go with it, and it's every bit as scary as you can imagine the sight of a doctor biting into face meat being.
Oh.
But
Oh,
it's
my
such
goodness.
it's such a tragic song, but so funny.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this our next to best comedy song is a song we've already mentioned a couple of times in our award show, but we're gonna mention it again anyway because "Danny Don't You Know" by Ninja Sex Party is a fantastic song, and it will be recognised as such.
Yeah, it's one of the best songs of the year. I mean, for me, it's the second best song of the year.
Yeah, it's so nearly made my Spotify playlist, but it's so great. It's just It's funny, the verses are funny, and then the climaxes are bloody great with the guitar solo, the chanting, and the added synths in the last chorus, like going ham. As I shouldn't have.
Going ham.
Going ham.
That's disrespectful, Joe.
It's a fantastic song, and I won't hear anyone say otherwise.
I agree. If you want to hear my full thoughts on it, you listen to last week's podcast.
Yeah.
And that's the end of 2018. It was a good year.
Good year for music. Good year.
Also, a terrible year for music, as we've just...
Oh, we need to decide gulag throwers. I mean, what the ones we're going to throw in the gulag? We're the gulag throwers.
We're the gulag throwers. We will leave them up to James to decide what to do with them. But I think, obviously, Jaden Smith was so nearly on the cusp of being thrown in, I believe.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we did or not.
We didn't, and now I feel like we should.
Yeah, I think now it's got to the point where he's had his chance.
Jaden Smith.
In the gulag.
In the gulag.
Also going in the gulag, I think we've got to throw Migos for having the worst track of the year.
Yes, so it's not just Quavo anymore, your buddies will join you.
Quavo is getting his buddies, but they're going to be locked in different cells.
Yep. No communication.
No communication. I think we should also put in 30 Seconds to Mars, The Collective.
The whole of them. So Jared gets his buddies as well, but again, no communication.
No communication. Tiger.
Yes, I was just going to say, because that artwork, like, why would you...
That's a criminal offence.
It's a criminal offence, definitely. In the gulag.
In the gulag you go, you awful, awful human. And, I mean, the only other one I would want to throw in is XXX Tentacion, but he's dead.
He's dead.
So I don't think we can really do that.
I mean, has enough time passed that we can get away with, like, using his ghost and... I mean, I'm a ghost. I'm still here.
I forgot you died last... not even this Halloween, the Halloween before.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to get resurrected. Like, if people could get on that would be nice, but...
I don't think we can justify throwing...
A dead person in the gulag.
A dead person in the gulag.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, that's the end of 2019.
2018.
Can I just sleep through 2019, Joe?
Yeah, I feel like I need it.
Let's look forward to the next year. I've already listened to 3 albums from 2019 and none of them have been good.
Oh, really? I was looking to see new music releases. I could only find one.
Oh, well, I'll have to share them with you, but the highest score I've given so far is 5 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're going to see the rise of music critic supervillain Nick.
For now, I hope you've enjoyed this. I say it's shorter episode. It's as long as our normal episodes to tide you over until we come back at the end of January to talk about music.
Yay!
But for now, I've been Nick.
I've been Joe.
And you've been listening to F Sharp, A Sharp Revisited.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. F Sharp, A Sharp Revisited.